Da Nang, Vietnam, that's where I'm at right now. It's been called the best city in Vietnam to live. Great expat scene, ocean, beach, mountains. It's got everything. But is it perfect for you? Is it best for singles, couples, families, backpackers? Who is Da Nang, Vietnam best for? We're going to discuss that right now, so let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so let's break it down here and let you decide if Da Nang's right for you. It's been called the most livable city in Vietnam, and I would agree with that. It's a great city. It's large to an extent. I think it's the 5th largest city in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. About 1.2 million, a little over that. But it doesn't feel like a large city because it's kind of sectioned off into districts or neighborhoods. So I'm in the An Thuong area right now, which is very expat oriented, a lot of backpackers, a lot of vacationers, very transient crowd that come and go. But you got the river area. I'm close to the beach area, part of the beach, but you got the river area too, which is more local. So what is Da Nang best for, or who are they best for? Are they best for just the backpackers that come and go? Are they good for single people coming here to maybe find a relationship or find love? Maybe couples coming here to live? Maybe families, if you've got, if you're married with children, is this a good place? So I've talked to everybody, well, not everybody, but I've talked to all those groups, and I'm going to give you my kind of take on it, my deep dive into it. So for a single, and I'm just talking guys right now, so I really don't know what the female single life is like here. But for guys being single coming here, if you're looking to date or you're looking for romance or a relationship, it's going to be a little harder for you for a couple of reasons. I've mentioned this before in other videos. It's similar to Thailand in that Vietnamese women are very slow moving as far as getting into a relationship. So there's a dating process, there's a almost courting process. And they also want to make sure that you actually live here. They're not looking for holiday boyfriends. So if you're just coming here on a 90-day visa and then you're heading out, you're probably going to have a little harder time dating to any extent. You may get a date or two, that first date, maybe a second date with that same Vietnamese woman, but to get into anything serious, it's probably not going to happen unless you can convince her or show her that you're here to stay, and maybe that's the reason, maybe she is the reason that you will stay here long term in Da Nang or come back to Da Nang and stay long term because she's your reason. But if you can do that convincing, that's great. So so being a single guy, I would say it's a little tougher. Now if you're a couple and you're coming out here, I think that's a great situation. If you've already got, like they say, you can bring sand to the beach, and Da Nang, Vietnam is a great place to bring sand to the beach. In other words, bring your girl or bring your guy with you, and you'll have an amazing time, I think, because the beach is beautiful, the river area is amazing. It's a 40-minute drive up to Hoi An, and you can get the Lantern Festival on the river there, and they've got fantastic architecture along the river, fantastic shops and restaurants there too. And then all the districts around here in Da Nang are amazing too. So you can have a great time with your girl or your guy coming up here on your 90-day vacation or whatever. If you want to stay longer, that might be an option for you as well, being a couple, because you've already tackled that one issue, which is finding somebody to be in a relationship with. You've already got that taken care of, so you're already here. So the next thing would be tourists, you'll run into a lot of tourists here. So if you're planning on staying long term, that may be a turnoff for you, especially in this area, in this An Thuong area, where you get a lot of backpackers, a lot of tourists coming and going, and so it's hard to maybe to adjust if you live here long term. You may not like the tourist part of what Da Nang is. So that might take a little bit of getting used to, or maybe you won't get used to it. So maybe you might have to move on to another area, another place. So couples are good. Families, I've talked to 2 families here, and they've got young children, each of them. And one of them loves it here. They love the beach. They go to the beach almost every day with their kids, and they homeschool them. They're finding a nice community of homeschool expat community. So they're getting friends in that area and finding friends, parents' friends, and then the children are getting friends because they meet with those children that are also homeschooled. They do have an international school here, at least one, but it's fairly expensive. And if you homeschool your kids, you're really going to need to find that expat community of other homeschool kids, so your kids will be well balanced, self-balanced, and find friends of their own, because there'll be a bit of a culture shock moving here to begin with, even for your children. And kids are pretty easily adaptable, but they'll miss home at first, and it takes a while. But once they start making friends, new friends here, and they understand that they got the beach, they got the river, they got all this to enjoy on a daily basis with new friends, then I think they'll adapt a little more. So I got the other family that just doesn't feel that Da Nang is a family-oriented city. They feel it's more of a tourist city, and I tend to agree with them in that respect, because Da Nang really is a tourist area and a tourist city, and it's very transient. So that person, that friend I talked to, is probably not going to stay in Da Nang much longer. I think his wife is Vietnamese and she's from Ho Chi Minh City, so they may move back to Ho Chi Minh City. They've got some established friends and family there. That's where her job is, but she can work remotely. Or they're talking about maybe moving to Thailand or Malaysia or other places that maybe they'll feel more like it's more family oriented than Da Nang is. So you've got 2 sides of the story there. You got one family that is thinking Da Nang is a nice place to be, and the other family that's thinking, oh, it's more of a tourist area, so maybe it's time to move on. So we've covered the single guy or girl. We've covered the couples coming here. We've covered the families. What about backpackers? These are the guys or girls that come, and they may come alone, they may come with a girlfriend or boyfriend, they may come in groups, but they come here and they stay. Most of them have that e-visa that's 90 days, so they can stay up to 90 days for a single entry, or they might come and go on a multi-entry up to 90 days. But they're basically in, and then they stay for a while, they enjoy what Da Nang has to offer, and then they move on to the next place. They're kind of nomadic in that respect, because backpackers aren't going to settle down. They're going to be in a place for a certain amount of time, as long as their visa allows them, and then they're moving on to whatever their next planned location is, or maybe unplanned. I've never been one of those backpackers, but basically they live on a budget. Most of them do, unless they've got a solid income. But they come in, they stay maybe at a hostel or a cheap Airbnb. Maybe they stay in groups, so their cost is a lot cheaper, and they just enjoy life being that nomadic backpacker. If like me, I'm a Gen X guy, so I think back in the 60s and 70s when the hippies were hitchhiking across America, and on a dime. They didn't have a lot of money to their name, but they made it work. And that's kind of what the modern day backpackers are. Instead of hitchhiking across their country, they're hopping across different countries throughout the world, and they're loving life, and they've got no worries, and they're just living it day to day. So you've got that. And then there's another category I guess I could put in there is the digital nomads, which could be, you could classify several of those categories that I mentioned before as a digital nomad, because if you work remotely, that you're technically a digital nomad. And so you've got great Wi-Fi here in Da Nang and in Vietnam. So for those that like to work remotely and they need that Wi-Fi connection, this is a great location to be. And there's no retirement here, really. You can't be a foreigner and retire here in the traditional sense, but you can be here 90 days at a time, take a visa run to a bordering country and come right back and start your 90 days over again. So it's pretty convenient in that respect. But just being a digital nomad, being here in Da Nang, you've got the beach, you've got the mountains, you've got the river area, you've got great Wi-Fi connection. It's very cheap to live here. You can stay in hotels and apartments really cheap, like 20 bucks or less. You can eat really cheap. You can eat for under $5 a day or even less if you want to. So there's all of that. So I guess if I were a single person, which I am, I probably would be a little hesitant, or I am a little hesitant in making Da Nang a long-term stay. I mean, it would take, I would say it would be okay, but I get a little bored. It's a little, there's not a lot going on compared to where I live in Bangkok. So I tend to get a little bored sometimes. And I just don't want to take beautiful things for granted. You know, I lived in Colorado for a time, and I lived in Fort Collins and Loveland, which is right there in the foothills. So every morning I'd wake up and look out my door, and there's the beautiful Rocky Mountains. And, you know, I always, growing up in Nebraska, we'd go visit Colorado and visit the Rocky Mountains, and I just loved it. I thought it was just the neatest thing. And I always said, I'm going to live there someday. So I did. But after a while living there, you start to take it for granted, and then it doesn't become so special. And I think if I lived in Da Nang for too long, I think that beautiful beach right 2 blocks behind me, I would start taking that for granted. And the beautiful scenes of the mountains across the bay there, I would start taking that for granted, and it wouldn't be special anymore. So I think visiting every once in a while is great, but for me, I think long-term living here, I don't think that would be special anymore. So I'm going to rule that out. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are. If you've been to Da Nang before, let me know what you think about it. Would it be something that you could do long-term? Are you single? Are you married? Do you have a family? Are you a backpacker? Are you a digital nomad? Where does Da Nang fit in your lifestyle, and where does Da Nang fit in your priorities as far as a place that you can live long-term, or just a place you want to just visit every once in a while? Like, that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, another thing is, before I wrap things up, is living here long-term is fine, but it's such a transient community that you make friends. Like, I was here from December through February last year and this year. And I made some good friends while I was here in those 3 months. But I'm back here now, and they're almost all gone because of the 90-day visa, and there's no retirement. So they leave. Some of them will come back, but some of them leave and stay, and they won't be back until, you know, later this year. So I come here, and it's like, where are all my friends? They're all gone. So that's another thing that could be an issue. It's hard to make friends here that will be here long term. And so I think that's another reason why I'm just going to make Da Nang a visit, enjoy the beach for, you know, a month or so at a time, and then move back to Bangkok, where I've got some solid friends, and I've got the awesomeness that is Bangkok that I love so much. So let me know in the comments below what you think. You know, what's your category and what's your thoughts on Da Nang? And as always, like, share, and subscribe. We're at 16,000 subscribers, so we hit that pinnacle, and next stop 20,000. Hopefully we'll get that before the end of the year. And hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post new videos. And as always, live life, my friend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.